Someone is playing dirty with you right now. Not maybe. Right now. While you watch this, someone in your life is calculating how to use you, frame you, or quietly push you out of a position you earned. They smile to your face. They call you a friend. And behind that performance, they are moving pieces on a board you do not even know you are sitting on. The problem is not that they do it. People have always done it. The problem is that you are still operating on rules that were never designed to protect you. You operate on honesty, consistency, the belief that if you work hard and stay loyal, the system will reward you. That belief is not noble. It is a vulnerability. And the people playing dirty with you exploit it every single day. Machiavelli saw this clearly 5 centuries ago. He wrote in Discourses on Livy, "Men are so simple and so much creatures of circumstance that the deceiver will always find someone ready to be deceived." That line is not about stupidity. It is about operating systems. The people who get played are not weak. They are running the wrong software in a world that runs on entirely different code. This video is not about revenge. Revenge is for people with nothing better to build. This is about understanding the real rules of power, the ones nobody teaches you, the ones Machiavelli spent his life mapping from the blood and politics of Renaissance Italy. Once you understand the system, you stop reacting to individuals and start positioning yourself above the game entirely. You did not lose because they played dirty. You lost because you were still playing by the rules of the weak. That ends today. Trick 1. Become unreadable. The people playing dirty with you have one massive advantage right now. They can read you. They know when you are angry because your jaw tightens. They know when you are threatened because you over-explain. They know when you want something because your energy shifts the moment it enters the room. Every emotion you leak freely is data, and data is leverage. Machiavelli wrote in The Prince, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." This is not philosophy. It is tactical instruction. The person who can be read can be led. The moment your emotional state becomes visible, you hand the other person the ability to calibrate their manipulation to hit you precisely where you are most exposed. Becoming unreadable is not about becoming cold. It is about building an internal fortress where no one gets access unless you choose to grant it. Train yourself in small moments. When someone disrespects you in a group, hold eye contact and say nothing. When someone insults you, let your expression stay flat. Not forced, flat. When people cannot figure out what moves you, they lose confidence. They start adjusting their behavior around you because they no longer know what you are capable of. The Machiavellian mind is not loud. It is unreadable. What cannot be read cannot be controlled. Trick 2. Let them overplay their hand. Most people make the same fatal mistake the moment they suspect someone is playing dirty. They react immediately. They confront too early. They show their full hand before the game is halfway through. And in doing so, they destroy the single most powerful asset they possess: information. Machiavelli wrote, "A wise man will make more opportunities than he finds." That wisdom begins with patience. When someone is scheming against you, do not rush to stop them. Let them move. Let them talk. Let them operate with full confidence that you are unaware. Here is what happens when you do nothing. They get comfortable. Comfortable people get sloppy. They start telling others what they are doing. They make bolder moves. They reach further and further until their entire strategy is exposed in broad daylight for you to study and dismantle. Think of it like a chess match. The amateur attacks on move 2. The grandmaster waits 30 moves, quietly positioning every piece until the opponent is already trapped before they realize it. Patience is not passivity. Patience is predatory. Let them build their plan, then dismantle it at the moment of your choosing, with a force they never saw coming. Trick 3. Mirror their energy, then withdraw it. When someone plays dirty with you, you do not fight them directly. You mirror them. You match their energy with surgical accuracy. If they are warm, you are warm. If they are cold, you are cold. If they engage, you engage. You become their reflection. Without realizing it, they begin to feel understood by you. Connected. They believe they have a hold on you. That attachment is exactly what you want, because the real weapon is not the mirror. It is what comes after, the withdrawal. Once they have grown used to your energy, once they have started depending on the rhythm you created, you remove it entirely. No argument, no drama, no explanation. You simply become unavailable, distant, unreachable. Machiavelli understood that people do not value what they have. They value what they have lost. When you withdraw your presence from someone who grew comfortable receiving it, you create a vacuum inside their mind they cannot fill with logic. They replay every interaction. They wonder what they did wrong. They start chasing you, not because you asked them to, but because the absence of your presence becomes louder than anything you could have ever said. You did not raise your voice. You rearranged their entire mental landscape with silence alone. Trick 4. Control the frame, control the game. Every interaction you have takes place inside a frame. A frame is the invisible structure that determines who holds power, who is reacting, and who is leading. Most people never think about this. They walk into conversations completely unaware that the frame has already been set, almost never by them. When someone plays dirty with you, their first move is always frame control. They frame you as the problem and themselves as the victim. They position the situation so that no matter what you say, you sound defensive or guilty. The moment you accept that frame and start explaining yourself inside their narrative, you have already lost. Machiavelli wrote, "The one who adapts his policy to the times prospers, and likewise the one whose policy clashes with the demands of the times does not." The demand of every power confrontation is the same. Define the battlefield first. Never argue inside someone else's frame. When someone accuses you to throw you off balance, do not defend. Reframe. If they say you are being selfish, ask them calmly why they feel entitled to your energy. If they say you have changed, tell them growth sometimes looks like betrayal to people who benefited from you staying small. Build your own frame. Stand inside it. Force the world to meet you there. Trick 5. Make your silence louder than their noise. Silence is the weapon most people are afraid to use because it looks like doing nothing. In the hands of someone who understands power, it is the most devastating tool in the arsenal. The power of silence is not passive. It is emotional detachment made visible. When someone plays dirty with you, they expect a reaction. They want you to argue. They want you to defend yourself. They want you to raise your voice so they can say, "Look at how he behaves under pressure." Every word you throw back is fuel for their fire. Real intentional silence removes all that fuel and leaves them standing in front of a flame with nothing left to burn. Machiavelli observed, "Men in general judge more by the sense of sight than by the sense of touch." What they see when you stay silent under attack is someone who is not threatened. Your stillness communicates one message: I see your game. I understand your moves. And I have already decided you are not worth my words. The attacker looks desperate. Their words echo back at them. You become the mountain. They become the wind. Your silence follows them home. It keeps them awake. It does more damage than anything you could have ever said. Trick 6. Expose nothing. Observe everything. Most people damage themselves, not because they are weak, but because they talk too much. They share plans before they execute them. They reveal insecurities to people who have not earned the right to know them. Then they wonder why those same people use it against them when the moment arrives. Machiavelli warned, "The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. Every man is a potential source of leverage. The information you give freely today becomes the blade that cuts you tomorrow. This is information discipline, a core pillar of cold psychology. From this point forward, you operate like an intelligence agent. In every room you enter, you watch. You listen not just to what people say, but to what they avoid saying. You notice who speaks about others behind their backs, because those same mouths will carry your name the moment you leave. You track inconsistencies. You remember details that others forget they mentioned. And while you collect all of this, you give away nothing that can be weaponized. When someone pushes for details about your plans, you redirect with a question about them. People love talking about themselves. Every word they say is a file in your mental cabinet. The one who holds the most while revealing the least controls the board without a single obvious move. Trick 7. Raise your value until they cannot afford to lose you. There is a level of power that has nothing to do with aggression or confrontation. It is the kind of power that comes from being so valuable that the people who play dirty with you start losing sleep over the possibility of being cut off from your circle. This is the untouchable mindset in practice. Machiavelli wrote that the ruler who becomes indispensable becomes untouchable. Most people make the mistake of chasing revenge when they have been wronged. The real response to someone playing dirty is not to destroy them. It is to become so powerful that their betrayal looks like the worst decision they ever made. Build yourself in silence. Get physically stronger. Learn new skills. Multiply your income. Expand your network with people who operate at the level you are aiming for. Do not announce it. Let the results speak on your behalf. What happens when you rise is this. The same people who played you start watching from a distance with regret heavy on their chest. They start reaching out. They start finding reasons to re-enter your orbit because they realize the person they discarded has become someone they now need. At that point, you hold the ultimate card, not revenge. Choice. You decide whether they deserve access to the version of you they tried to bury. Trick 8. Use strategic unpredictability. Every dirty move someone makes against you is built on one assumption. They think they know how you will respond. They insult you because they expect anger. They ignore you because they expect you to chase. They spread lies because they expect you to defend yourself publicly. Every move they make is calculated based on a version of you they think they understand. Machiavelli wrote in The Prince, "The man who varies his methods according to the times will prosper, and likewise the one who remains rigid will be destroyed." Stop being consistent in the way others expect. When they expect anger, respond with calm amusement. When they expect you to leave, stay with a steadiness that unsettles the room. When they expect silence, speak with a precision so sharp it cuts the conversation in two. You are not being chaotic. You are being calculated. There is a fundamental difference between being random and being unpredictable. A random person is out of control. An unpredictable person is in complete control. They simply refuse to let anyone else access the pattern. This freezes the people operating against you. They cannot plan ahead. They start hesitating. They start making errors because the mental model they built of you has collapsed entirely. Break the pattern, and you break their power over you permanently. Trick 9. Build alliances they do not see coming. No one who ever held real power held it alone. And no dirty player was ever genuinely defeated by someone operating in complete isolation. This is the truth most people miss when they are in conflict. They fight solo. They keep everything private. And while that sounds disciplined, it is exactly how people get quietly dismantled without anyone noticing. Machiavelli wrote, "A prince who is not wise himself cannot be wisely advised." Power is networked. Influence is distributed across relationships, reputation, and shared interest. You do not build alliances by complaining about what someone did to you. That is weakness disguised as networking. You build alliances by identifying people who share your values and standards and creating genuine bonds based on mutual respect and mutual benefit. You become someone worth standing beside, and the right people naturally align with you. Here is why this devastates the person who played dirty. They assumed you were alone. They assumed no one would stand with you. They assumed they could control the narrative. But when they look up and realize that the people around them have already been won over by your character and conduct, their entire strategy collapses from the inside. You said nothing negative about them. Their own behavior did the exposing. Your alliances did the protecting. The strongest person in the room is never the loudest. He is the one with 5 silent allies standing behind him that nobody bothered to notice. Trick 10. Walk away like you never needed them. Every trick up to this point has been about positioning, strategy, and mental control. This final trick is the one that separates the powerful from the truly untouchable. It is the move no manipulator has a counter for. Walking away like you never needed them in the first place. Most people cannot do this. They stay in toxic situations because they are addicted to resolution. They keep engaging with people who disrespect them because they crave the validation of winning an argument. They want the other person to admit they were wrong. That hunger for closure is the chain that keeps them enslaved to people who do not deserve a second of their time. Machiavelli wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." But the highest form of that principle is this: the person willing to walk away from everything holds a power that neither fear nor love can match. When you walk away from someone who played dirty with you, you do not announce it. You do not explain your reasons. You simply remove yourself. They are left holding a conversation with no second voice. Guilt they cannot resolve. Questions they cannot answer. A silence so loud it follows them for months. You did not yell. You did not beg. You just left. And that will haunt them more than anything you could have done. Your absence becomes the loudest statement you have ever made. It tells them that they were never as important as they believed. It tells them that your peace is worth more than their presence. The system behind the tricks. Here is what most people miss about everything you just learned. None of it is about becoming a manipulator. It is about understanding the system you are already inside. Machiavelli was not writing a guide to cruelty. He was writing a guide to reality. He wrote in the Discourses, "Whoever desires to found a state and give it laws must start by assuming that all men are bad and ever ready to display their vicious nature whenever they have a free opportunity." That sounds cynical. But look at the world as it actually operates, not as you were told it should. Power moves happen every single day in every office, every relationship, every social circle. Most people feel the effects, but cannot see the structure. They react to individuals when they should be reading systems. The shift you need is not from good person to ruthless person. It is from reactive person to strategic person. Machiavelli called this the difference between those who remain subject to fortuna, to circumstance, and those who develop virtù, the internal capacity to act decisively on their own terms. The person operating on emotion is always at the mercy of the situation. The person operating on strategic awareness is always the one defining it. You were not losing because they were stronger or smarter. You were losing because you were predictable, transparent, and reactive in a system that rewards opacity, patience, and cold positioning. That is Machiavellianism applied correctly, not darkness for its own sake. Clarity, system awareness built into every single move you make. From predictable to unreadable, from reactive to strategic, from participant to architect. You were not born to be played. You were born to understand the game well enough to design it. The moment you stop needing to be understood is the moment you become impossible to control.